All right, let's dive right in. Ever wondered why some of the apps you use feel absolutely instant while others just don't? Well, a huge piece of that magic often comes down to a tool called Redis. Today, we're going to pop the hood and figure out exactly why it's so ridiculously fast. We're talking millions of operations a second fast. We'll see how its entire design philosophy gives it this massive edge over the traditional databases we're all used to. Let's get into it.
I mean, we've all felt this, right? You tap something on your phone and one app is just bam, it's there. The next one gives you that little spinning wheel of doom. So what's the real difference? A lot of the time, it just boils down to one simple thing. How fast can that app get its hands on the data it needs? And that is the exact problem that a technology like Redis was born to solve.
Okay, so the best way to wrap your head around this is with an analogy. On one side, you have your traditional database. Think something like Postgres. This is your freight train. It's an absolute beast, right? Super reliable, built to haul enormous amounts of data safely. Its number one job is durability, making sure nothing ever gets lost. But then, you've got Redis. Redis is the Ferrari. It's sleek, it's stripped down, and it's not designed to haul cargo. Nope. It is built for one thing and one thing only: raw, mind-blowing speed.
So let's look at this tale of two databases. How do you get a freight train and a Ferrari from the same basic concept of just storing data? Well, it all boils down to one single fundamental difference: where the data actually lives. Is it on disk or is it in RAM?
So here's the deal. Your traditional database plays it safe. It writes everything down to a physical disk, a hard drive or an SSD, and that is fantastic for durability. If the power goes out, your data is safe and sound. The catch? Getting data off a disk, even a super fast one, is a physical process, and in computer time, that's an eternity. Redis makes this huge, radical trade-off. It says, forget the disk, I'm going to hold everything in the computer's main memory in RAM. And this one decision is the absolute bedrock of its performance.
All right, so we know the where. It's in RAM. Now let's unpack the how. What are the other secrets to Redis's speed? Let's dig into the engineering that lets it pull off millions of operations every single second.
Okay, just look at this chart. And honestly, this visual doesn't even do it justice. We are talking about disk access taking milliseconds versus RAM access taking nanoseconds. To put that in perspective, a millisecond is a thousandth of a second. A nanosecond is a billionth. The bar for RAM access is so small you literally cannot see it. This isn't like comparing a fast car to a slow car. It's like comparing walking to teleportation. This is Redis's rocket fuel. But, and this is where it gets really cool, that's not the only trick up its sleeve. There's another secret, and it's going to sound kind of weird.
The power of a single thread. Yep, you heard that right. In a world completely obsessed with multi-core processors and parallel computing, one of Redis's biggest secret weapons is that it does almost everything with just one thread. How in the world is that a feature and not a bug? How could that possibly be fast? Well, let's break it down.
It all comes down to avoiding complexity. See, when you have multiple threads trying to work on the same data, they have to coordinate. It's like having a bunch of cooks in one tiny kitchen. They're constantly bumping into each other, managing locks, sending signals. It's a lot of overhead. Redis is like one single incredibly fast chef in their own private kitchen. There's no one else to talk to, no one to wait for. It just grabs a command, executes it. Grabs the next one, executes it, one after another in a super efficient loop. For the kind of simple operations Redis is built for, this approach is just unbelievably efficient.
Let's really put this side by side. Look at what a traditional database has to go through. You send it a query. First, it has to parse that SQL to even figure out what you're asking. Then, it has to be smart and come up with the best plan to get that data. After that, it has to physically go to the disk, pull pieces of data from maybe several different tables, and then do the hard work of joining it all together. It's a heavy-duty process, and for good reason. It's built to answer really complex questions.
And now, look at the Redis query. One step. Look up a key in memory. That's it. No parser, no planner, no joins, no disk access. All that complex overhead we just talked about, it's just gone. This radical simplicity is the other half of the speed equation. It's the ultimate shortcut to your data.
Okay, but a Ferrari isn't a minivan, right? You don't get that kind of performance for free. There is always a price to pay. And to be that fast, Redis had to make some really specific, really important trade-offs. It's crucial to understand what you're giving up to get that speed.
And this quote just nails it perfectly. Redis is like an athlete trained for the 100-meter sprint.
not built to haul cargo across continents. It's a pure specialist. It's built for one job: short, explosive bursts of speed.
So what are those trade-offs? Well, first, and this is the big one, durability. Because it's all in memory, a server crash could mean some of your most recent data just vanishes. Second, complex queries. You can forget about those. There's no SQL, no joins. It's a simple key-value store. Third, consistency. In some setups, an update might take a split second to show up everywhere. And finally, you're limited by memory. Your dataset can only be as big as the RAM you can afford, and RAM is way more expensive than disk space.
Now, this brings us to the most important point. All of this might make it sound like it's Redis versus the database. But that is not the story at all. The real-world solution, the powerful solution, is using them together. It's not about choosing the Ferrari or the freight train. It's about realizing you need both in your garage for different parts of the journey.
And here is the absolute best way to think about this partnership. Your traditional database is the permanent ledger. It's the official book of records, the ultimate source of truth where everything is stored safely. Redis is the whiteboard you have right next to it. It's for your quick calculations, your temporary notes, and keeping whatever you're working on right now instantly accessible.
So how do you actually get the ledger and the whiteboard to work together? Well, the most common pattern by far is called cache aside. It sounds technical, but the idea is actually super simple and elegant, and I guarantee it's powering most of the apps you use every day.
Here's how it works. When your app needs some data, say your user profile, the first place it looks is the whiteboard, Redis. If it's there, awesome. That's a cache hit, and you get your data back instantly. If it's not there, a cache miss, no big deal. The app just goes to the official ledger, the main database, and gets the record. Then, and this is the magic step, it takes a copy of that data and scribbles it onto the whiteboard for the next time anyone asks. This simple dance keeps your most frequently accessed data incredibly fast, while the database remains the ultimate source of truth.
And there you have it. Redis achieves its incredible speed by trading the ironclad durability of a database for the raw, simple performance of living in memory. So the real takeaway isn't about choosing one over the other. It's about learning to recognize when your app needs the safety of the ledger and when it just needs the blistering speed of the whiteboard. Which leaves us with one last question to think about. Where in your own projects could you use a whiteboard?